Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Jamie Lee, and I'm joined by my husband, Mr. Jared Lee. Hello, Jared.
Hello.
Well, I have a question for you, as I always do.
All right.
So you were, you talked about this earlier this week, I think, and I just wanted to address it here because I think it was a good question. If you could bring back any ride that has been, either closed or abandoned or whatever that used to be in Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure, which one would it be and why?
Can it be updated technologically?
I mean, I guess. I feel like closest to what it was, but I guess
Right.
I guess if you leave the essence of the ride the same.
So I think a lot of people would say Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jaws ride did have quite a bit of issues though. But personally speaking, I would say Back to the Future. Like obviously I know that's your favorite movie of all time.
Sure is.
I do love the movie. I think that an updated sort of maybe even like a Kuka arm based ride where you can kind of go like you're kind of in the DeLorean perhaps. Like I think that would be something to be really cool.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, this discussion kind of happened. I went on the Orange Grove 55 YouTube channel, so go check them out at Orange Grove 55. Friends of the channel, good dudes over there, and we had a discussion about like essentially like Universal nostalgia and like would they maybe look at bringing back an old ride or like an older nostalgic IP into the park. And I do think if any theme park would do it, it would be Universal.
Yeah.
And I do think Back to the Future is a contender in that category in terms of if they could, because I think Back to the Future has aged very well. Mm-hmm. You've seen like E.T. become a lot more popular yet again over the years. So I think, personally speaking, I think if they did a Back to the Future or even like a Ghostbusters, Jaws, like some sort of nostalgic-based ride, brought it back, I actually think it would be very popular and go over very well. But what about you?
So obviously my answer would be yes. I would love for them to bring a Back to the Future ride back. Obviously, favorite ride or favorite movie. I thought the ride was great. However, I don't think they would. They haven't made anything Back to the Future in a long time, like nothing new. And I don't think they will until I think it was Robert Zemeckis. I think he said, like, well, while he's alive, they're never going to remake it. I was like, thank you.
He's made it very clear that,
yes.
Yeah, as long as he's in control, that they're not going to do any remakes or sequels or anything.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, fine. And Jaws, still the same thing. They haven't done anything else with Jaws as the franchise in like theaters or anything. So I don't think those two would be even on the table. I could see them doing something with Ghostbusters. I mean, they did redo that franchise. They've had like a couple movies come out recently, so they could do something Ghostbusters. I would like to see, honestly, when you asked me this question, I actually was like, I really miss the earthquake ride. It used to be Disaster Movie, before it was, Fast and Furious as it is right now. And I really liked the earthquake stuff because, I mean, it was more like how it used to be where like audience participation within the attraction. Like they used to do all of that. They don't really do that much anymore. So that essence was gone. And then obviously like the subway scene with like the water rushing in, they still have it in Hollywood. But I really like that part of the ride. And I kind of miss it because I was telling Jared, I was like, that's probably one of my earliest memories. Because I was 5 when I went to Universal Studios the first time when it opened that year. So I mean, like I think I would do that one. I think I would do that one.
But I mean, to your argument, I don't think, but there's no IPs for that one either.
True, but because I don't think you need an IP with that one because I mean, Earthquake was based on a really old movie that. I mean, they didn't make anything after that. It was just that one movie. It was a standalone movie. But the theme, I don't know. You're right. Am I a hypocrite for saying that?
Well, but I don't think, but you got to think too, Universal doesn't function like Disney does. I don't think this is necessarily dependent upon direct box office sales or like, is it a relevant like new movies? I think if you look at what Universal's done with like last summer, with leaning into the nostalgia with the parade, with Sensational, with the tribute store, like really leaning into nostalgia, which I feel like Universal has been doing the past few years. And really that is their, like Disney has their legacy of Walt and the history and all those things. And that's an asset to them. In my opinion, I think they've kind of not wanted it to be as much of an asset, more featured on the newer things. But I think Universal's asset to them is their nostalgia off of, like, say, Back to the Future, Jaws. Like, they're obviously featuring these things in the parks on some level. I think there's a lot of interest in Back to the Future. I think you're hitting that point. I think it's like that 20 to 30 year rule where these older movies all of a sudden kind of have a resurgence due to the fact that, like, when you were a kid, now you're an adult, and you're like, oh, it would be really cool to see that. I personally think, and a lot of it would be dependent upon probably merchandise sales and things like that, but as heavily as features they've done Back to the Future, I personally think, I mean, not that they will, but if any theme park company were to do it, I think Universal would be the one to do it. And I actually think it would be very popular. I think if they announce we're bringing Back to the Future in some sort of updated fashion, not the exact same ride that was before, I honestly think it'd be one of the highest weights in the entire theme park. I think there is a big appetite for these older franchises, and really not having any newer movies is an asset too, because I think when you have these movies that aren't messed with, they do age very well. People remember them from their childhood, and they're like in a time capsule.
Yeah.
And I think it would be really, really cool. And I don't know if they'll do it. I think they're probably maybe tossing that idea around. I would love it. But if anybody would take that risk, I do think Universal would.
You know what we didn't mention that I think was a great attraction, and I did it every time I went to Universal, was Twister.
I mean, listen,
I do a lot with that. Twisters is back.
That is one. I mean, Twisters, for its credit, I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Great movie.
It was not a
entertaining
highbrow movie.
Right.
It was just it's kind of like summer blockbusters used to be.
Yes.
Like, it was fun.
It was fun.
Listen, if you're telling me you're going to bring back, jean jacket wearing with the jeans, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt not liking each other, filming their stuff separately because they actually hate each other, we bring that ride back. I wouldn't be against that either. That's
not even the part that I like, though. The part that I like is where you actually, like, they create an actual, like, twister, tornado,
well, obviously,
in the thing, and, like, you feel like you're in where this tornado is taking place, which again is what the park used to be. It used to be called Ride the Movies,
right?
And so, like, you're supposed to be part of the movie, and I really love that. And I feel like a lot of the newer stuff is not focused so much on that. You know what I mean? Like, the elements
it has changed in that way.
So I missed that part. If we could bring that kind of part back, I would love that.
I mean, I think if they're going to do more of those movies, there is a chance that you could see some sort of Twister attraction. Like, listen, I think any of these older rides that were taken away, that I do think there's an appetite for them. Because I do think that, people talk about Disney versus Universal, like, the core fan bases behind both of them, like, are different in many ways. I think that a lot of people that love Universal, they do love those nostalgic rides, and I think they would be very popular. And I think like maybe Twister is a good example of, like, you have the older movies or movie, and then you have the newer one. Maybe they do sequels and things.
Sure,
that could be one they do. But I would love to see some sort of, maybe Universal does some sort of, like, great movie ride as a jab to Disney, and they include a lot of these, like, nostalgic movies and some of the really, like, updated, really modern take on that type of thing. I think it would be very popular.
Lots of possibilities. Well,
I'm here for it. I want it. I will egg this on as much as I can. I think it would be fantastic.
All right. Well, good to know.
Yes.
So, I love that question. We're actually not going to talk about retro movies and attractions. We're actually going to talk about something very exciting today, which was we got to stay at Stella Nova Resort, which is a brand new Universal resort that opened last week. And so we get to talk about that today. So exciting.
Yes.
But first, we are going to have some housekeeping, and I'm going to throw that over to Jared.
Well, if you are watching us on YouTube right now, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, if you're flabbergasted that we have a YouTube channel where you can see video versions of the show, and you're like, wow, I would like to check that out, you can go over to YouTube at CTM Podcast, and that's where we have video versions of the show. We have show clips. You have shorts and everything over there. You can check that out there. And if, of course, you're listening on good old trusty audio podcast form that has been around since Back to the Future was in theaters, I believe. I'm somewhere around there. You can find us on whatever platform you listen on. We're probably on there. All the major ones that I'm aware of, we are on those platforms. Just please subscribe on there and leave us a review if you would not mind. It helps us continue to grow the show. And, of course, in the celebration of the new year and new parks and new resorts, we do have some new shirts that you can check out from Capture the Magic Apparel. And just as a reminder, if you want to contribute to the show or get some great theme park attire or just stuff to wear around pop culture, we have the comfiest shirts you'll find. We can do comfort colors, next level shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, whatever you want. We can print them on those. We print everything in-house. So it's the highest quality, and we ship it out to you. And like I said, we got some new designs in the shop you can check out. We got some new Universal ones coming up as well. I'm finalizing an Epic Universe one, kind of our own personal little ode to that. As obviously, I've been very looking forward to that park for a while. And yeah, you can check that and go to ctmapparelco.com. Use their promo code New Year, and you get 20% off of your order. Plus, if you order $50 or more, you get free shipping on top of that. So you can get a lot of savings there. So again, ctmapparelco.com and use the promo code New Year.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So Universal decided that they were going to announce all of the major event dates for 2025. And, that's all really the news we're going to talk about today, but it's a pretty big deal. So, Jared, what are some of those dates?
Yeah, they don't think they've ever done this before. They kind of release everything kind of all at once.
Right.
So you have Rock the Universe is going to be January 24th through January 25th.
Which is this past weekend.
Unless you have a DeLorean, you cannot see that now.
Which was it's the Christian music festival, basically, that they have every year.
And the parks were very busy from that. Looking at the wait times.
Very busy.
They also announced Mardi Gras coming up, Flavors of Carnival, which is February 1st through March 30th. They have Butterbeer season, which is March 1st through May 31st. And now I do imagine that may coincide. They are currently working on City Walk on the Super Nintendo store, and they're bringing where you can get Butterbeer at City Walk as well. Oh. So I do imagine this will extend into City Walk.
Okay. And as far as what details we have about these things, they were very brief about what this meant. But what we can say about Butterbeer season is basically they're going to have more Butterbeer snacks, more Butterbeer kind of drinks throughout the month of March and April
Hear
and
me
May,
out.
So.
A Butterbeer iced coffee or latte.
Ooh. Okay.
Just make that happen. I think that would be fantastic.
Okay. I'm down.
Yeah, I'm on board for that if they will do that. So then you'll have Grad Bash, which this may be a time period where you want to avoid the parks, as these are typically very busy and full of, the youth running around. That may or may not be something you want to be a part of. I suppose if you are a youth yourself, you may want to be a part of this. And if you're not, you may want to not go here. But either way, they did announce this. This is April 4th, 5th, 11th, and 25th.
And this is high schoolers?
Yeah.
These are the high schoolers. They will be present. They do this every year. And every year it's really, it's tough to be there when they're there just because they kind of have the run of the parks.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
depending on what you want, if you're one of the olds, you may not enjoy that.
Yeah.
If it just depends. But they do have that going on.
Yeah.
They also announced something brand new this year, which is new Volcano Bay Nights.
Yeah.
These April 19th, 26th, May 3rd, 10th, 17th are the only dates they have thus far. No details, but assuming this is probably a lot like H2O Glow Nights over at Disney World, where it's a nighttime after hours type thing in the water parks.
Yeah.
Honestly, that sounds even though we don't have any
good.
details, I think that sounds pretty awesome because obviously when it's hot, sometimes just even though it's still hot at night, you don't have the sun bearing down on you kind of after hours event. And I love Volcano Bay. So I think that could be something that could be really, really cool.
I would love to do this.
I would love to see Universal do more event type things like that, which I think they probably will, especially with Epic Universe, coming online. I think that's maybe their next step is to doing more things like this because I do think there is a demand for it, especially when you've got more crowds coming in. And not saying they would do it, say, in Epic Universe, but I do think if there was an Epic Universe after hours, I think that would sell like crazy.
Yeah.
Personally speaking. But then they have Grad Venture. What is Grad Venture actually?
Grad Venture is middle schoolers.
Oh, okay. Well,
Going even younger.
If you don't like high schoolers, you'll love middle schoolers.
Like 8th graders, graduating from middle school. They'll be there. So pretty much every weekend in April and May are just a lot of teens.
A lot of youth. I would argue middle school, tougher age range than high school.
Yeah, for sure.
I would argue that.
Sure.
That's going on May 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 17th. So keep those dates in mind. Everything happening there in May. So pick your dates there or avoid those dates if you don't want to do any of those. Then, of course, we have Epic Universe opening this year, May 22nd. And really, obviously, looking forward to that park. We're going to be there opening day and the second day. So we'll be bringing all sorts of Epic Universe coverage there once we're able to get in there and experience it all and talk about it. But they also did announce kind of an extra little thing here of more. They're having early park admission to Epic Universe as part of, they offer this when you're staying on the resort. You get early park admission. It's not going to be on opening day. So they're not going to offer it May 22nd.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, completely. I think that's not another wrinkle you want to throw into an opening day is like early park admission on top of that.
Right.
Because they very well could be finishing up stuff in the park up until they open it. So
For sure.
You never know. But this will be starting May 23rd, and they have at least the date showing all the way through the end of the year here for this. So hotel guests will get 1 hour access to Epic Universe before the park opens, and will include 3 rides in Super Nintendo World, which is going to be Minecart Madness, Mario Kart, Yoshi's Adventure, and then Stardust Racers in Celestial Park. So you'll be able to access those an hour early before everybody else can get into Epic Universe.
And you're going to need it.
Well,
Yes.
Super Nintendo World is going to be a madhouse.
Yeah.
So
I think we should do this. We should go
absolutely,
early.
absolutely,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I think you can already kind of start thinking about like what's the best way to go about the park. Like say you're going to rope drop. Like I think Minecart Madness is going to be one of the highest weights in the entire park. Partially because obviously Nintendo's insanely popular. Like if you don't think Nintendo's that popular, it is very popular. They just basically leaked that the Switch 2 is coming out later this year. The Switch is already the second best selling console ever. And the only reason
what's the first one?
Well, the first one is PlayStation 2 because remember it was the cheapest DVD player you could get.
Yes, I do.
And that was the main reason for that. But that is going to sell like crazy. So the demand for Nintendo is high, and not to mention not only Minecart Madness being kind of a unique roller coaster, but also that ride. I do have a lot of questions about its ride capacity.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to move a lot of people through per hour. So probably your best bet is to go in here and try and do Minecart Madness right off the rip.
Yep.
Probably go over to Mario. Mario Kart, I don't think that's going to be a mind-blowing attraction, but it's still going to have high wait times. And again,
sure.
Super Nintendo World in general is going to be busy. And
Yeah.
then that would free you up to probably after that, once the park opens, go into, say, Ministry of Magic, try and do Battle of the Ministry, and then sort of pick what you want to do after that fact. But I do think if you want to do Super Nintendo World, I would take advantage of that as much as you can, because probably that is going to be the busiest land, at least initially, out of any of them, I would assume.
And what's really cool is that because they have portals to like each land, it's really easy to just be like, okay, we're closing this portal until park opening. So like people can just hang out in Celestial Park, they can hang out in Super Mario World or Super Nintendo World, and then everything else is just closed. I feel like that design of the park like really lends itself to early park admission.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even we were talking about after hours events, it also lends itself to being able to sell after hours events for specific lands too.
Yep.
Like if you just want to say, hey, there's an after hour event for Super Nintendo World for whatever price. I do think it opens them up to be able to do things like this, that not that you couldn't do it in other theme parks, but it's much more harder logistically to have a lot more team members to have to kind of man that to make sure people don't get into other areas. So
Smart.
it does allow them to do that.
Nice.
So, and then we also have the 4th of July celebration, which they've never done that before that I'm aware of.
It's the same thing they do every year. It's just what they do, like the special like DJ and the characters and the fireworks. It's nothing else.
I wasn't sure
that.
if it was just a special thing that they were doing this year
No,
the first time.
they just wanted to mention it.
Then they have pass holder appreciation days. These are August 15th through September 30th. And during this time, there are pass holder appreciation nights, which will be held August 15th and 16th. And we did one of these last year. It was a really good time. Really went off very well in terms of the event.
It was good.
Yeah, I do like that they do these things. And obviously, sometimes it's very difficult to get a reservation for these things. And I imagine this year will be even more popular, given I think you're going to have a ton of people coming in for Epic Universe. Now, I don't know if I think if they were selling Epic Universe annual passes, you would see a lot more annual passes. Since they're probably not, at least this year, I would assume, you may not see a ton more annual pass holders necessarily, but I do think there will be a lot of demand nonetheless.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then probably the biggest, well, not the biggest one, outside of Epic Universe, probably the next biggest one is they already announced Halloween Horror Nights dates. So
which is so early for them.
Very
early. They never announce it this early.
Very early.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got August 29th through November 2nd.
And it's the earliest it's ever been. So it's just gonna eke closer and closer to that mid-August mark. They just got to get as many dates as they can in. So.
And I've heard rumors that they may do 12 houses this year.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
There is a rumor that just a rumor, but they could look at doing 12 houses. I do wonder how that would help with the crowds and wait times in the houses if they had more to do.
I feel like it would help.
I do too. And I think going the last 2 years, I mean, last year we basically said, we are not doing this on Express Pass. Like,
Yeah.
you can get some stuff done, but eventually you hit a point in the night. If you don't have Express Pass, you're just standing in lines for 45 minutes plus.
Unfortunately, with our Premier Pass, we do get tickets included, so we just have to pay for Express, which I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Which this is the first year, by the way, if you do have, your Premier Pass holder, you are going to have to basically tell them what night you're coming.
Oh, that's right.
So a lot of people were kind of like, oh, it's a park reservation system. It's like, honestly, it's just more or less like, it would be like something as Disney saying, like, as part of your annual pass holder thing, you can go to like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Like, I would assume you'd have to say which one are you coming to.
Yeah.
Because the first time I went, I was actually surprised. I remember asking you, like, did I just go? And you're like, yeah. I kind of figured you'd have to tell them just because at any moment, you never know how many APs are going to show up to use that free pass. So that is one just caveat this year that you'll just have to let them ahead of time, which they haven't said exactly how to do that. I'm sure they'll have information later in the year.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, that's something to keep in mind for that. And then they also have holidays at Universal Orlando, November 21st through December 31st.
Yeah, no other information besides that, but it is another, example of the trend that they're doing with their not starting Christmas stuff until, past mid-November. They're not starting earlier like they did. They did for a while.
Well, when's Thanksgiving this year?
Thanksgiving, I think, is the 27th.
Okay, so they're starting it before Thanksgiving.
I think they start the Friday before, or it's like 6 days before Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think this is them obviously giving people more of a heads up of what's happening. I think this probably is a lot of them expecting a lot more people to come in for Epic Universe. A lot more people are planning to stay longer and go on longer vacations to Universal.
Yeah.
So you do give people more things to maybe line up and say, hey, let's go check out this, and then line it up with going to Epic Universe. And I think this probably just comes with them, as they continue to become a larger destination for people to check out. I think this makes sense to just have all these things sort of, you don't have to have all the details out. You can just say it's happening at these dates here, and then you can plan around that. Because a lot of people plan their trips like well in advance and would like to know, like, hey, when is, like, even for us, like, we're able to come, we're only 2 hours away, but a lot of times it's like, what, when are they doing the Christmas stuff? When are they doing this?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's nice to just be able to like plan that out a little bit. So I can imagine if you're traveling out of state, you want to go to, Epic Universe, Universal Studios, you can also line it up with these other things to like plan out more things you want to do.
Yep. Agreed.
All right.
Well, that's what they announced already. So that's pretty cool. Now we're gonna like go into what we're gonna talk about for today, and that is Stella Nova Resort.
Yes.
So we stayed here last Wednesday. It was the second day it was open. We had a scheduling conflict because we were planning on doing the day it opened on the grand opening day, but we had to move it to the next day. So we did check in on Wednesday and just stayed one night and just checked it out. So, well, first of all, what are some little details about Stella Nova Resort, Jared?
Yes, details. Stella Nova Resort. It's the 9th Universal Hotel. And just like the other ones, it is a Lowe's-owned property. I suppose it's co-owned. I don't know really how that setup is. I know Universal and Lowe's are partners in this, and this is the 9th one in Orlando. And it is a prime value hotel. So it's in line with, say, Dockside and Surfside, but it's a little bit, I guess they look at it as a higher category there.
Yeah, so there's 3 categories now. So you have value and in suites, and that's Endless Summer, Dockside, Surfside, and Cabana Bay. You have prime value, which is Stella Nova, Terra Luna, which is opening in March, and Aventura Hotel. And then you have the Signature Collection, which is Sapphire Falls, Royal Pacific, Hard Rock Hotel, Portofino Bay, and the Universal Grand Helios Grand Hotel.
Yes. Now, Sapphire Falls used to be a moderate, and they changed that.
They moved it over.
Which I will say, I think Sapphire Falls has always had Sapphire Falls. I said that terribly. Sapphire Falls. I do like Sapphire Falls. It always had more of a, I guess now you call it a signature feel to it.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite resorts.
I love
but
it.
not all of the signature ones do give you the unlimited express pass. That still only includes Royal Pacific, Hard Rock Hotel, and Portofino Bay.
Right.
So just keep that at Helios at this point does not include it, and nor does Sapphire Falls. So that's something to keep in mind there. But yes, this is the 9th one, and there's soon to be Terra Luna is opening in March. That will be the 10th. that's also going to be a prime value level hotel.
Yeah. So what are some perks of staying at Stella Nova? Let's just get right into it.
So you're going to have early park admission. So like we said earlier, 1 hour early to entry into the parks. And then once Epic Universe is open, you'll have access to that one as well. Yeah, now I'm pretty sure it was listed on their website. They have early park admission at none at Universal Studios, but at Islands of Adventure and Epic Universe, you're going to have early park admission.
Okay.
So that's how they're going to split those up there. I don't think they've ever done it at studios, or not often. It's usually Islands of Adventure.
Yeah.
They do that. Obviously, one of the biggest perks to staying here is the walkway to Epic Universe. You are literally within 5 to 10 minute walk to the front of Epic Universe. And having stayed there, it's right there. I mean, you walk down the road there, go across the street, and you are right. I mean, you can see the Chronos from the road. So you're right where the buses drop off. So it's a very quick walk to have access to Epic Universe. So I think that's probably one of the main perks, if not the main perk to staying here other than the price. And then you also have free bus transportation to and from City Walk and Volcano Bay, just like you do at all the other resorts. And I think there's also bus transportation to Epic as well, maybe.
I think they do have a shuttle.
I think they did say that, so you don't have to walk.
It's so close, though.
I don't know why you wouldn't just walk it. I imagine getting on the bus and everything like that, it would take you longer to do that versus just taking a short walk down there. Yeah,
obviously, if you have mobility issues, obviously take the shuttle, but it is available, I guess. I wasn't sure, though.
But if you have mobility, you can, you're going to be using a mobility scooter in the park. You could just take it on down there. I mean, personally speaking, I think it'd actually be easier than taking a bus.
Maybe. Okay, let's talk about the theming of this hotel.
Yes, so they say on their website, it's inspired by the infinite vastness of the unexplored universe, where galaxies spiral ever outward and unknown worlds revolve around unnamed stars. It says that Stella Nova is where you'll take off for amazing adventures at Universal Orlando Resort. Dare to dream, dare to explore, stay beyond this world at Universal Stella Nova Resort. So if you didn't get the pit, a lot of space theming here.
Yep. A lot of space.
Like, think of it as a spaceport theme, essentially.
Yeah.
I think that's basically the entire theming of this.
Yeah. Pretty much. Now, talking about the lobby, because that's your first, like, once you pull into the parking lot and you can see the outside, which, do you want to talk about the tiles?
Yeah, I mean, this is got those reflective tiles. If you've seen any construction videos or any of the pictures of this, it's very unique looking hotel. Both this one and Terra Luna look very similar. It's kind of like pink and blues.
It's so pretty.
It does have, again, for a value level hotel, it's a very unique theming to a lot of effort into that end. Mm-hmm. So it does have a nice, one thing I did notice when you drive up there, it did have a unique reveal. Like, not that you typically don't see something like that at this level of a hotel. So it does have a nice reveal to it. When the sun's out, it does, the tiles reflect and things. At night, they don't have any shimmering effects off those tiles. They do have some constellations, like just singular lights are there supposed to look like I can't remember the constellation, but it's supposed to look like a constellation.
That's awesome.
On the hotel itself. It's got some neon lights on the outside on the porte cochere and things like that. Now, the inside, I think you said, what did you describe it as?
I said it looked like the Jetsons in white.
Yeah. I kind of think, and I think it was Slimer on Orange Grove 55, said it looks like Men in Black. If you've been in the ride there, it's very reminiscent of the kind of style and motif you would see like with the Men in Black. Lots of whites, there's no sharp edges, lots of rounded corners, things like that. Now, I will say, and throughout this entire hotel, it is lots and lots of whites.
Lots of white.
There's some splashes. They do have some pictures of galaxies on the walls here and there that are actual pictures from NASA is what they said. There is some neon lighting effects here and there, but lots of whites. I think it could have used a little bit more color splashes, but they did have some like lighting effects in there. Like, it's a cool, unique looking hotel. Mm-hmm. I just imagine it's gonna be very difficult to keep clean as time goes on, as more people stay here.
Yeah, like one aspect is in the lobby, there are these chairs. They look like a geometric shape, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else to describe it, but they look very sharp. They look like, oh, that's not going to be comfortable, not at all. But the soft, like when you sit down, you're like, oh, that is soft.
Yeah, they're actually comfortable chairs.
So stuff like that, like stuff is just very much like, quote, out of this world.
Yeah. Although those chairs, they're fabric. The top of them on the backside is white fabric. That is going to get dirty within like a month. Like, the first thing I noticed, like, it looks cool, but I was like, man, they're going to have to clean these or reupholster these at some point because people with sweaty backs from theme parks are just going to be sitting down in these chairs. And
Yeah.
Yeah. I personally, I don't know if I like fabric backing in chairs in a lobby because you got people sitting down here and they're going to have wet shirts sitting in these chairs.
Sweaty.
I mean, the minute you wake up in Florida, you walk outside, you're just like, and I'm sweaty. So I just imagine you're like, that would be bad to sit in that chair and all of a sudden you just feel it like wet. Like I do think that could happen here, but they do look cool. Like the theming of it and the style of it, I think is very unique.
For sure. One thing I do want to mention too is the chandeliers. Like I don't even know what the shapes are. There were 2, I think, big chandeliers in there, and they just have a very interesting shape to them. I don't know how to describe it. I think they're supposed
to kind of look like constellations, if I were to guess.
Okay. It's hard to tell.
I don't know if I really cared for those a lot. I mean, they were fine.
They were pretty.
They were fine. They were, again, they fit the motif of the hotel. The motif, if you will.
Really long blinds. Because the window that faces outside to the pool area is very, very tall, and the blinds go all floor to ceiling, and they're very thick and they're very long. So when you open the door, if it's windy, they just get blown around like crazy, and it is loud.
Well, I should say when we stayed here, it was 40 degrees.
It's like 43.
Wind chill of 28. So anytime the pool area was closed because it was so cold. But anytime you could still go out there, like in that area, but anytime people would open those doors, you would see those things would get blown in. And they would probably need them because, again, if it's really sunny, the light's hitting in there, I'm sure they're going to want to close those just because you don't want to be blinded by the sun coming in from those windows.
No, I'm glad they're there. It's just an interesting thing. So we kind of already talked about the location. So we already told you guys it's across the street from Epic Universe, about a 5 to 10 minute walk if you use the walkway. But what do you want? Like, where is it? A location to like where like City Walk is, like all of that.
No, it's a couple miles south of where current Universal Studios is. There's going to be dedicated buses coming from there. They're also working on roadways to alleviate a lot of the traffic that's be coming in.
Yeah,
and then there's going to be dedicated bus lanes from. Or at least part of the way from Epic Universe to Universal Studios. So if you are taking buses, it should be a much more consistent, like shorter ride versus say like just on the roadways. But I will say getting here, not the clearest because it's a lot of this area is obviously under construction. The Google Maps and Apple Maps is not quite updated to that yet. So getting here at this current state is a little bit not confusing. You just got to go around. It's going to try and take you into that apartment complex that's nearby, but you cannot get into it from there. So you've got to go to Destination Parkway, and then you take a left on Epic Universe Boulevard, or just Epic Boulevard, I think.
I think it's Epic, yeah.
And then it takes you that way. So you kind of go that way. But eventually, it obviously be much clearer to get in here. But right now, this park's open. Nothing else around it yet is open. So you kind of got to deal with a lot of construction.
And if you are on the pool side, of the hotel where you cannot enter, that is Universal Boulevard. So if you're on Universal Boulevard, you will not be able to enter the hotel that way. Just FYI. Because, it looks like you might be able to, but you can't.
Eventually, you will be able to.
Oh, you will?
Just not right now.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's talk about the rooms.
Okay.
So there are 2 queen bedrooms only in this hotel. You can do accessible rooms. You can do like hearing assisted rooms, but there's only 2 views or standard views, and there's pool views, but there's no other arrangement. Like there's no suites or there's no anything like that. There's just the 2 queen setup.
Yeah, just your basic studio, what you have here.
Yeah.
And if you want to be able to see into Epic Universe, go with the standard view. That actually gives you the view into Epic Universe. The pool view would obviously give you a pool view, but you're not going to be able to see into Epic Universe. So that's just something to keep in mind if that's something. Because you can see, like we could see the testing for Dark Universe going on in there. You can see the Chrono. Yes. So you can see elements of the park from the room in there. It is a little bit far away, but you are close enough to be able to see those things. So that if that's something you would like, technically that is a theme park view.
And each room is 315 square feet, which is smaller than a lot of the other hotel rooms. But, Jared was saying earlier, if you look at Disney value resorts, those are even smaller than that. So
those are typically 260 square feet. So technically these are very well like in range with the value level of a hotel room.
They did feel pretty tight when we were in there. I'm not going to lie. But they had really tall ceilings.
I didn't feel like it was any smaller than like you'd say like All-Star Movies or places like that. They were definitely smaller than Dockside and Surfside, for sure. Like at least the ninth floor, the ceiling's a little taller. I don't think they're that tall on the lower floors though. Looking at pictures perhaps, but at least ours, we were on the ninth floor. It was a little taller, which definitely helped it feel a little bit more spacious.
Mm-hmm.
So I did enjoy that. Again, lots of whites in here.
A lot of whites.
There is against the bed, you've got a themed wall there with like a space galaxy theme. It's got some ambient lighting there. That looks really cool. I think the thing that looks the most, maybe to my OCD brain off a bit, is the wall that has the TV on it, because you just have a TV on just a plain white wall. There's nothing else around it. There's some lighting fixtures nearby. And then the dresser is kind of off-centered, connected to this couch thing that they have.
It's very weird.
It's not that it's not functional. It just seems it's off-centered. So in my brain, it just was like, why is that off-centered? I'm used to him being centered there.
It looks like it's sitting on the couch.
It kind of does, and it's got the padding there. But again, I think they're going to have probably issues keeping these rooms pretty clean in the walls because, you know, as people stay in these and bump them and scrape them, I think you're going to have some issues with that. But it did have, like, it was laminate flooring with a rug that was in there. And you had that, and in the window is like a port-looking window, so it's not your typical. You know, Universal usually has really big windows in the hotel rooms for the most part. These had more of that themed port window, which
it's pretty small. Yeah,
it was okay. Like, some people were complaining and hearing that when it was raining, it was like really loud for them. We didn't notice anything. I mean, it was raining when we were there, but I didn't notice any different noise personally.
Yeah,
but I suppose on some select rooms it could be an issue.
Yeah, you could hear the other person's TVs in the other.
Well,
room.
I guess we could say the biggest issue with these is the thin walls.
Very thin.
I think that's the biggest gripe I would have. Now, for us, like, we sleep with a fan, and I'm a pretty hard sleeper personally, so we have ambient noise going anyway. But, like, when I say that thin walls, I mean, these are probably the thinnest walls I've ever experienced in a hotel. The people in the other room, they had their TV on. I don't think it was blaring.
No.
And it was like it was in our room. And you could hear conversations in the hallway. You could hear when people were going to the bathroom. Like, it was just very, very thin walls. So that is definitely something to keep in mind here. If you're like a light sleeper or stuff like that really bothers you, that is something to at least consider before staying here.
Definitely. Get white noise machine or bring a fan or whatever if you want to drown that out.
I don't know how people sleep in silence. I really don't.
I don't know either.
My brother, their house does this. Like, all of them sleep, and like when you're there, it's just like dead silence. Like, I would just lay there just staring at a ceiling the whole time. But
yep. So we checked in. It was early. I don't remember what time it was. 11? Noon? Something like that.
Check in or out?
Checked in.
We didn't get into like 1 something.
Okay, so it was like 1 o'clock. Our room was ready, and I think we were the first people in there. I think we were the first because our toilet wouldn't flush.
Well, this is an ongoing issue. This hotel. I mean, again, new hotels are kind of like new restaurants. There's just gonna be things that they have to work out. So I remember I went to the bathroom, flushed it. It seemed like it's not that it didn't flush. It just was like there was no water pressure.
Yeah.
So called maintenance. They were up within like 15 minutes. Checked it out, and he said that it was a water pressure issue. I don't know if he did anything to it, but it did flush a little bit after that.
Yeah.
But definitely water pressure, because in the shower, it was the same thing. Just very, very little water pressure, and something with the water heater because it barely got to like lukewarm for like both you and me. So that was not, I mean, especially when it was cold out, I was kind of wanting to take a hot shower.
Yeah.
And I just had it didn't stay that warm very long before it started getting colder. So there's definitely something they need to work out in terms of the water pressure and the water heaters in the rooms. Yeah. But I assume that's something they'll probably work out. I would assume before Epic Universe opens.
Hopefully. I mean, usually they're supposed to do that kind of stuff when a new hotel opens, is do like a test stay or whatever.
Right.
I don't think they did that because there are a lot of people that were complaining about this kind of same kind of thing.
Yeah, I think everybody's saying here we were the guinea pigs for this.
We were the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Now, one thing I will say about these rooms, which was a pleasant surprise, maybe not a pleasant surprise, but I was very happy about, is the beds were very comfortable. So sometimes, like, say, the Universal beds can be a little hit or miss in that way. These were, I felt they were very comfortable beds, although the sheets were a little scratchy.
Yes, they were scratchy.
Not the softest of sheets out there. So the bed's comfortable, but you do have thin walls, but you're very close to Epic Universe. So you've kind of weighing what's important to you, looking at staying here. That's something to consider there. And you do have a little divider there as well, I suppose, between like the bathroom and the main, studio area there as well. So you do have a little bit of privacy, but very basic studio type value room that you kind of find anywhere.
Yep.
I guess the only other, there's two things I would also mention. they have they have sensors for the bathroom lights, and these have been a little glitchy for some people. Like for us, it wasn't bad. It's just kind of weird that they do just randomly turn on there. Some people have said that when they're taking a shower, the lights will go off, or they just turn on randomly. So it seems like some of these sensors are not maybe, programmed quite right, or need some tweaking there. So you do have that to keep in mind. And then also, at least for us, our fridge in our room kept making like a knocking noise. I don't know if that's something that was happening in all the rooms. And again, we have, ambient noise and things like that in our room, so it wasn't affecting us while we slept, but it was kind of jarring of just maybe like every 5 minutes it would just make a knocking noise. And I looked at it, I couldn't figure out, I'm guessing it was when the compressor would come on, but they were very tight squeeze in that little drawer or the little cabinet that they come out of. So I don't know if it was that. We didn't say anything to maintenance because I was like, well, it's not going to affect us while we sleep, but I don't know if that's happening in other rooms as well. That was just at least in ours.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Also, the TV, you can watch Netflix. You can watch Netflix on the TV. That's cool.
You have to log into your own account.
Yeah.
Yes. They also, I think there was like 3 other streaming services you could use. Obviously, Peacock was one of them. Mm-hmm. And then there was, I think maybe Pandora and something else. But yeah, you could log into your own streaming stuff and watch on the TV. You could also use your phone as the remote if you wanted to as well.
That was pretty cool.
You also have plenty of outlets for like USB power cords, even USB-C cords. They had one on the main dresser and then one on the nightstand there also. Now, there was no direct like overhead light. It was like kind of in the corners, like more like ambient lighting in the room, which is fine. I don't really care for overhead lighting for me personally, and I think there was enough light in the room. But for some people that maybe sort of like you don't just flip one switch to turn the lights on. You kind of got to turn individual lights on around the room. There's nothing, again, it's a value level hotel room. So there's not going to be like a ton of amenities. Apparently they do. You were saying they have room service apparently, which they didn't make it clear in the room that was the case. You can do that online, I guess you were saying.
Yep. So yeah, part of the food options, which we'll get to all the rest of those in a minute, but you can do in-room dining. They deliver 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. You can order this online, and they offer pizza, mostly pizza, but also sandwiches, salads, desserts, drinks, and even alcoholic beverages. So that's something to consider.
It's interesting. They had nothing in the room that was noting you could do that.
I don't know I don't know. I don't know why. I just happened to see it on the website. I don't know why they didn't have it in the room. So maybe it's just not ready.
I mean, it's possible, but yeah, either way, you can take advantage of that. So I suppose that is a higher level amenity type thing you can do there, but yeah.
For sure. So let's move on to talking about amenities in general. So amenities, the first thing is the pool, the resort pool area. So what's over there?
Well, you've got your pool, obviously. Just no slide. It's a very kind of basic pool. You do have a kids splash pad area in there. There's also a pretty massive hot tub, if public hot tubs are your thing.
Gross.
You can check that out. Plenty of lounge chairs. Yeah, public hot tubs are gross. Lots of lounge chairs you can set in around there. They have a pool bar called the Galaxy Bar where you can get food and drinks there. It's a good size space there. They did have some seating on the outside of the fence where there was like one, I guess it was like a fire pit type thing you could sit around with some outdoor seating there. But, nothing major, just a very kind of basic pool area, but good sized.
Yep, they also have some outdoor games you can play, and they will do poolside movies where they do it at the other resorts where they just air up that floaty screen.
Yeah.
And it's only obviously weather permitting, so that's another option too.
Yeah. Like I said, we didn't get to check it out because the pool was closed because it was freezing.
It was very closed.
Yeah.
As well as the Galaxy Bar that Jared mentioned. We did not get to try that because it was not open while we were there.
We can imagine if people aren't in the pool, they may not also go to the pool bar. I don't think anybody's want to eat outside.
No. We also have the fitness center that's open 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. and you can access that from the pool area or the first floor past the elevators. So there's 2 entrances. But you used it.
I did. It's actually a really good sized gym. I had a pretty decent workout in there. I don't know how many square feet, but it's much bigger than typical, even Disney's deluxes you find for their gyms sometimes. And that's one thing I do like about Universal's values is they all have gyms you can use. Now, this one didn't actually have dumbbells, which is kind of strange. It had kettlebells. It had a Smith machine with like plate weights, lots of machines, lots of treadmills, lots of like a Stairmaster. So it had plenty of equipment. You can get a good workout in here. It had window view. You could see into the pool area. Had like modern lighting. So for a value level hotel with this type of gym, I was very impressed by it.
Nice.
And I had a good workout, so it wasn't bad.
All right. They also have a game room. which when I went down there, it was not open.
It said it wasn't opened, but you could still go into it.
So could you not play though? You couldn't play
I
the
don't
games?
know. I thought I saw people playing, but I did go in the following day and got in, and people were playing stuff. So I'm not really sure, but
Okay.
it's not a huge area. It's got a lot of cool games. It's got a Mario Kart racing game in there. It has a nice basketball game in there. It's got air hockey. It's got some claw games. You could win like a giant Yoshi that was in there. I don't know how you could win this thing, but you could win it. And then to play these, you have to load up like a card. Like it had packages. You could spend upwards of like $100 if you wanted to get like 600 credits or something like that. So most of the games anywhere from 8 to 12 credits, I think, or 6 to 10 credits, somewhere around there to play. But I mean, it's a decent, it's not a huge room, but it's a decent game room in here if it's like a rainy day or if your kids just want to go play some games. There's some newer games you can go play in there.
Nice. They also have a Universal Studios store, as they all have this in their hotels. But this one is 95% Epic Universe merchandise.
As you might imagine. Yeah.
There were a couple of new items. One Jared actually picked up right away. It was Donkey Kong in barrel, like a plush.
It's the one we've seen in Japan, Super Nintendo Japan.
But it was new to Orlando.
Yes. They also, actually, a lot of stuff in there I had not seen in the Epic Universe Preview Center.
Yeah.
So some of it was in there, but there was a lot of Super Nintendo. I think there was probably at least 2-3 walls of Super Nintendo stuff, and then also an individual kiosk thing. So I think the most stuff in there was Super Nintendo, which isn't surprising.
Yeah. They also had a new Dolores Umbridge wand available, which those sold out the first day. Like, we didn't see any of those.
Yeah.
But that was available in that store. And then, of course, they have the regular, is it Billabong or is it Quicksilver?
I think it's both.
Yeah, like they had that kind of merchandise available as well. So, yeah, I mean, just
They had some Dark Universe action figures of Frankenstein and Victoria Frankenstein that was $84.
And they're small.
Shocked at the price on those. The Dark Universe, How to Train Your Dragon stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was a decent amount of stuff in there, but I think the most of it was easily Super Nintendo.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I was okay with.
Yeah, that's fine with me. So let's go over and let's talk about the food and the places you can eat. First thing we're going to talk about is Cosmos Cafe. Cosmos Cafe is I mean, it's quick service, I guess. I guess you'd qualify it as quick service.
Yes, I would say so.
And they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And there's also a grab and go section that's just called the market. And that's just grabbing like coffee and pastries, snacks, ice cream, stuff like that. Morning, afternoon, and night. And I believe that's open till 11. So it's open 1 hour later than the Cosmos Cafe. We ate dinner. We had an early dinner at Cosmos Cafe. And we're going to talk about what we had. Jared, what did you have for dinner?
I had the Stella Burger, which is $15.50. It's a double smashed beef patty, cheddar cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles on with cosmic sauce, which I think that was just fancy sauce, basically.
Fancy sauce.
And a brioche bun. I got it without tomatoes because tomatoes are gross. Outside of tomato soup and marinara sauce. On their own, gross. But anyway. So I got that, and then
we'll talk about what you had. You had sweet potato fries as well.
I did, yeah. Jamie wanted those. I was a good husband and got those because I actually don't care for sweet potato fries that much. It's very rare when I think they're better.
Okay.
But you wanted them, so I got them.
Thank you.
They were okay. They were the fries. They were basic sweet potato fries. So if you like sweet potato fries, you would like these. But I can eat a few, but I would much rather have a regular French fry versus a sweet potato fry.
Okay.
The burger itself was actually pretty solid. It wasn't as good as, wasn't like one of the best burgers I've ever had, but I do like more of a smash burger versus like a big, thicker burger, personally speaking. And it was very filling. It was very peppery. Did have some seasoning on it. Wasn't really juicy. Was not that it was dry. It just wasn't as juicy as usually like a smash burger is. But I would get it again. It was solid. I mean, it filled me up, and I was full after I ate it.
What about the price? The $15.50. Do you think that was too much for it?
It's kind of in line with burgers nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
It's nothing. I mean, you can pay $20-some for some places. Now, we did get an AP discount, which saved us like $2 or $3, so they did make it a little cheaper. Personally, anything over $9 for a hamburger, I just grit my teeth because I think it's just that should be one of the cheaper options is a burger. But given theme park prices and what you'll find like in the parks or most resorts, it's probably pretty much in line with what you'd pay at most places.
That's fair. And I got the hot honey chicken pizza. This is a 10-inch individual sized pizza. It's chicken, grilled corn, caramelized onions, hot chili oil drizzle, and garlic cream. And that was $15.50 as well. And I enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty good. It could use more chicken. They just kind of, it was like one piece of chicken on each slice.
Not a lot of chicken,
Yeah. I didn't think it needed the corn. I thought that was kind of odd to put corn on the pizza. I'm not going to lie. You tried it and you were like, is that corn?
It was weird. It didn't really taste the flavor. It was just like
No.
a texture thing. It was just weird having corn on a pizza. But
Yeah. I took off a little bit of the onions because it was just a lot of onions for me. But besides that, I thought it tasted really good.
It was very flavorful. It was very like fluffy, I guess you could say.
It was fluffy.
It was very filling. I don't know if I would much rather have a regular pizza, personally speaking, but it was good.
Yeah.
I think, like I'll say,
What's
most
a
of the time,
regular pizza?
just a regular like cheese or sausage or whatever type of pizza, like marinara sauce, all that. Like
Gotcha.
just not those types of pizza. That's typically not what I would get on a pizza. But I mean, it could have used more meat. I will say you used more chicken in there, but it was flavorful. It was good.
Oh yeah.
Now you tried my
Okay.
burger. Did you like the burger?
It was fine. You know, when they say it's double smashed, it wasn't super smashed.
It was
Not at all.
yeah. I mean, it was semi smashed.
It was good. I like the bun, the brioche bun. That was a good.
The bun was good, which is important to a burger.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say the structure of, or I guess the arrangement of what this place looked like. So you order your food at the counter if just where you order. And then you pick it up at a completely like on the other side of the restaurant,
Yes.
like past the seating area, which I actually liked. I think that helps with crowd control a lot. And the seating area, not that big.
It's not that big, but also you got to consider this hotel in Terra Luna are only going to have 750 rooms.
That's right.
If you compare that to Dockside and Surfside, those have 2,500 rooms each.
Do they really?
Yeah, so they have
dang.
a lot more rooms over there than versus here. So I don't think you'll have. I mean, obviously it can get crowded in here, but I think it's not going to be as much as you'll find at like those other two hotels.
And I guess if you really just don't want to go in there because it's too busy, just go outside. Go to Galaxy Grill Bar and Grill, which we're going to talk about in a second.
True. And also you can mobile order here. It wasn't working when we were here, but you can, in the future you should be able to mobile order.
Oh yeah, the QR code wasn't working.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was just taking you to the menu. So
That's
I don't know
right.
if it probably have to get it into the app would be my guess.
Yeah, for sure. And so you can also order, they've got soup, they've got salads, they've got other kind of sandwiches. They have different kind of pizzas like margarita pizzas, Mediterranean.
They do have a tomato soup and grilled cheese.
Oh,
I may have to try that sometime.
I almost got the fish and chips, which I was hoping I was going to kind of compare to like what it was at, a Universal, but I didn't. They have salmon fried rice, they have shrimp and grits, they have wings. I mean, they have a variety of things, which I thought was good. And yeah, sweet stuff, beverages.
They also have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you can, you got some. I've heard the breakfast food was really good. We didn't try any of the breakfast, but I heard from some people that the breakfast was good.
They do have monkey bread.
I mean, that's
Some monkey bread. I was like, okay, that's nice. But yeah, so that is the inside. That's the place where you can go inside. And if you go outside by the pool, you have the Galaxy Bar and Grill. And the grill is open from 11 to 6. So it's not that many hours. But the bar is open 11 to 8.
You can get that extra drink in.
I was like, okay. And it's obviously a lot more limited menu here at the grill. So food-wise, you can get chips and dip, just some salsa, pretzels. You can get some wings, some salads, a couple of burgers and sandwiches.
Yeah, so you get the Stella burger. You can get some of the stuff that's
Yeah.
in the Cosmos Cafe out there as well.
It looks like the specialty stuff they have on the menu inside is not available outside. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they share a kitchen,
Right.
So they just some of the stuff you can get in there, you can get out here too.
right. And of course they have the bar and there's beer, wine, cocktails, lots of things to drink.
I will say and we'll talk about the bar here in a second as well, not the outdoor but the indoor. But both of them have a really good selection of like drafts beers on hand, which I thought was
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people like that. So I think you've got almost like over 10 So there's quite a
Dang.
bit that you've got, which is, if you like a good draft beer, I think beer's better on draft. It's not a bad thing to have that out there.
Yeah. So the next one is Nova Bar, which is you're talking about. That is the lobby bar that's open 5 till 11 p.m. That's the place to go if you get back from the parks and you're like, I need a drink. Just go to the lobby bar.
Yeah.
And we stopped and had some drinks. What did you have? What kind of beer did you have there?
I decided to go with the beer. I was wanting quantity over quality.
Okay.
Maybe not quality, just more something to drink, just sit there. I ended up getting the Tank Brewing Freedom Tower. I'd never had it before. It was an amber ale. I do like amber ales. So it was actually really good. I enjoyed it. It was a pretty good size as well. I think it was, I don't know how many big ounces they are, but it was a good size. It wasn't like a small beer. It was $12. So, I mean,
Okay.
again, expensive, but in line with what you're going to find at like hotels and theme parks and stuff.
Nice.
What'd you get?
I got the Capella. That was Grey Goose vodka, shaken with Saint Germain elderflower, chipotle pineapple syrup, and fresh lemon juice with an absinthe spritz, served over ice. And all the cocktails are $16. I actually enjoyed this. This was on the sweeter side, but I could really taste the vodka for real. But it was delicious. I would have this again.
I mean, they're all handmade.
All handmade.
So they're not pre-made, which I thought was good. They had a good select. They've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like around 12 different cocktails you can get. They did have some that were like kind of like an old fashioned. I almost got one that was it was a supernova. So it was whiskey with cherry infused Campari, Brulo, something, and tart cherry syrup. So it's kind of like an old fashioned, and they're actually pretty good sized. So they do have a pretty good selection of cocktails there and beers. So they, you can sit there. They do got 3 TVs you can sit there and watch. And they, even if you don't have seating at the bar, there is plenty of the seating around the bar area. You kind of hang out in that spot as well, and you can just you could also take it into, further into the lobby if you want to sit at a table and stuff. So it's a good concept there, and bartenders are really nice. The girl that served us was, she was really good.
And I almost got something that I'm glad I didn't get because she said it was pretty strong. But this is called the Black Hole, and it's basically their version of like an espresso martini.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I won't get that because she said it was very espresso like and it's very strong. I was like, I'll pass up on that. But
yeah, they also have wines you can get too. So,
yeah.
So
lots of options, and then of course we talked about the in-room dining. Also, a couple of things we want to mention that's not really, it's kind of in its own category, but they do have resort mugs. Resort mugs are $19 for 1 to 3 days of your stay, $25 for 4 to 7 days, or $30 if you're staying 8+ days. And these are only usable in the freestyle machines at the resort, not at the parks.
Yes. I was going to say they do have freestyle machines here, which is nice. I'm a big fan of those, yeah.
Yes. So,
which I think that's what they do at the other resorts too, is they have them for the resort and you have the ones for in the park, which I really wish it was just everywhere. But yeah, they do it that way, which I think that's pretty consistent with all the hotels.
Yeah. Before we go on to pros and cons and kind of close this out, I do want to mention something about the parking because we had a little, not issue, but just a little something that was interesting. So on my email of the reservation I made for the resort, it said parking was $23 a night. Like, okay, great. We get there on Wednesday, check in, and she says it's $30. And I'm like, I don't know if that's right. So I said, I have an email that says it's 23. She goes, oh, can you bring that up? So I brought it up. I showed her the email. She's like, okay, we will honor that. I was like, okay. So apparently in between booking the hotel, which I booked November of last year, to recently, right before they opened or whatever, they jacked up the parking price $7. So if you have a reservation for this hotel and it's advertised differently, show them your email and they'll honor that original price. Just FYI. And what's visitor parking, Jared?
Well, first off, I hate hotel parking fees. It's the same thing with resort fees. $30 is steep, I will say, especially for a value level hotel.
Yep.
Now, you can day park here, but it's $65.
Yeah.
Which it's not going to cost that much to park at Epic Universe, I'm sure. So I think they're just putting that to deter people. A lot of people would try to park here to just walk over to Epic Universe. So I suppose if you want to do that, you can pay $65. I imagine they're not going to let a ton of people do that because you can't have all those spaces taken up, and people that are staying at the hotel can't park.
Right.
But that is something that is the rate. So the parking here is a little on the steep end, I will say.
It is. And it is gated. So you'll have to use your room key to like access the parking lot. So
I think all the parking at the Universal hotels are gated though.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, let's go into talking about pros. So what are some pros of staying here that if someone was like, I want to go stay at Universal, I hear this new hotel opening or has opened, what are some good things about it? What would you say?
Well, I think the main one being, well, first the price. It's under $200. So,
and that's if you don't have any discounts.
Right. And I think we
even
stayed
more than that.
we paid like what, 119 at the rate we got. 113 with the discount. Yeah. So I mean, not that you're gonna be able to find that necessarily around when Epic Universe opens, but you can get discounts. I think couple that with the location, those would be your two biggest perks because again, you're within 5 to 10 minutes of walking distance of Epic Universe. I think that's the major perk here to stay here at that level of hotel at that price, which is pretty wild that you have, again, if you're staying within walking distance of a theme park in even City Walk or Magic Kingdom or Epcot, you're not paying anywhere less than $400 or $500 per night typically. Sometimes you get cheaper, but you're paying a lot more money for close access to a theme park, and here you can get it for under $200. Same thing with Terra Luna. So you're going to have two value level hotels at that price point at that location. That's definitely a big pro, I would say.
Yeah. I also, the theming, if you're a fan of space and Men in Black, you would love this hotel.
Yeah.
And the exterior tile is really pretty. So I mean, it's got a really unique theme to it. And if you're looking for something different than beachy over at Endless Summer or 50s style at Cabana Bay, this is another option too. And I mean, like you said, the price, if you're just wanting to somewhere to like lay your head and just go to the parks and enjoy yourself and then come back and sleep, this is also a good thing. I mean, they don't really have a lot of those at Universal. I mean, with Endless Summer, they do, I guess, but this is another option too. They're really killing the value resort game.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, the price is kind of hard to beat with the location there. I mean, the other thing I would say, the amenities there's not a ton, but they are nice what they have, like the food, the bar, the workout facility. I do think those amenities are pros to this in this category.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
in
something
this category.
At that price point, that's not something that you typically will find.
Yeah. So what would be a few cons that you would say?
I mean, I think in terms of the stay in the room, the biggest one is the thin walls. That's not something that can be fixed. I mean, we could talk about the water pressure issues and the water heater. Those things can be fixed, and they'll eventually iron those out. But the thin walls is something that's not going to get any better unless they refurb these years down the road, which I don't think they probably will. So if you are a light sleeper or, let's say you even got younger kids and you're worried about like if your kids are noisy, will people around you hear them? Yeah, probably so. And probably, I would imagine if you're in the lower rooms, you probably hear people above you pretty easily as well.
Yeah.
So that's, that depends on you personally. Like if you're just going to be in the parks all day, just want a place to rest your head, you're a hard sleeper, it may not be something you really worried about, but some people are going to worry about that more. So I would say for me, that would be the biggest con to this would be the thin walls.
Other, cons may be like not a variety of room sizes, as we talked about. It's just 2 queen setup. And also, there's no Starbucks in there.
Yeah, there's no Starbucks in here, so which is typically what you find at Universal hotels. Now, they do have in the grab-and-go area, they proudly serve Starbucks coffee, but it's not actual Starbucks.
Right.
But yeah, that is one thing. I mean, you can still get your coffee, but it's not if you're looking for the fancy Starbucks drinks in the morning.
Schmancy.
I mean, they do have Starbucks. It's going to be in Epic Universe, so technically you could just walk in Epic Universe and get it, but they don't have it in the hotel.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just want to mention, why should they go to the 3rd floor?
Oh, yeah. Well, the 3rd floor, you've got in the hallway, there are rooms on the 3rd floor, but there's a space in there that they don't have any rooms because it's over the lobby, and the lobby is very tall. So instead of having rooms in there, they have sort of a star ceiling that you walk through. It's got like LED lights that kind of like twinkle stars you go through.
Constellation? Is it supposed to be a constellation up
I don't know if it's supposed to be.
no?
I don't think it's supposed to be a specific constellation. I think it's just supposed to be like just got stars that twinkle in there.
It's so pretty.
Kind of like an Instagram social media type thing. I mean, it's one of those things like it's not mind-boggling, but it's one of those things like it is going a little above and beyond at that level of a hotel.
Yeah.
With that little extra touches like that. Just something, I mean, again, it probably didn't cost them that much money to do that.
Yeah.
But it's also just something cool you could go check out. Like kids would love it. You go over there and just see the stars that
Oh, yeah.
kind of twinkle above and stuff.
Sure. Would you stay here again?
Well, I was gonna say, what's our final grades here?
Yeah.
I would stay here again. The thin
Mm-hmm.
walls. I'm a hard sleeper. We sleep with fans. That doesn't affect me as much. Now, it's not something I love, but you're talking about, you got to weigh that with the price here. So if I was really wanting to just focus on Epic Universe and I want to be within walking distance, not mess with the parking and not mess with all that stuff, yeah, I would stay here. I think it's a nice hotel. It is a very nice hotel. The rooms are nice. Like especially again in the value level, hotel. It is a nice hotel. They've got a lot of things. They'll iron out a lot of these issues that are ongoing. And if they don't, we'll talk about it. But I would like to stay here in a couple months and see how these issues are. Because if it's an ongoing thing about water pressure and not having hot water, that's a problem. Or the toilet's not flushing properly. And there were some leaks that people, I think in the gift shop, there was a leak that somebody had noticed and stuff like that. But again, a lot of people tell you when you open up hotels, like the first, month is very much like working out issues that, you just figure out on the go sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, I would stay here again. I enjoyed it. I thought it's a unique hotel and again, the location of it. So I personally would. I'd probably give it 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Ish, I would say somewhere around there. I'd like to check out the pool and all that stuff like that. But I think that what I would say though, if you have a family of 4 or a bigger family and you're like staying at Universal for like 3 to 5 nights. Personally speaking, I would much rather go over to Dockside and Surfside and stay in one of the 1-bedroom suites. Two
bedroom.
They call it 2-bedroom, but
Yes.
it's a studio with an extra bedroom.
Right.
You got more room over there. You got the picnic table. You've got a microwave. You're not on top of each other as much. You got more space there, and you're still not that far away from Epic Universe or City Walk. I think I guess the big con to this one, you're not super close to City Walk at Stella Nova or Terra Luna. So checking out those other parks.
Yeah.
So personally, if you're just staying like a couple of nights, I think this hotel can be one that could work really well for people. But if I was staying longer, I would want more space, and I would probably go over to Dockside or Surfside.
I agree with that. But yeah, if this is just a place you want to be close to Epic Universe, be able to walk over, you just got you and then 3 other people maximum, obviously, because you can't have more than that, then this is a great option. But if you want to spread out, if you want to have more people with you, if you need more amenities within your hotel, like if you have to have a Starbucks,
right,
or just that picnic table, that a little bit bigger fridge, the microwave, the extra like counter space in the bathrooms, like at Dockside and Surfside, then absolutely, even Cabana Bay that has the family suites, that's also a bigger option as well. These are just very basic. This is a very basic hotel that does have a lot of perks to it, and there are reasons to stay there. But if you have some limitations, I guess, depending on who you're traveling with and what you're going for. So you
can only sleep 4 in these rooms as well.
Right. Well, 2 queen beds. You can't have a 5th person.
There's no
or
pull-out couch or anything like that. So if you do have a bigger part, that could be something that, again, go to Dockside and Surfside, have more room, stuff like that.
Right. I would give it like a 7. Yeah. 7's good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you're talking location, that's a 10. And then it just depends on where you're weighing this out, whether you to stay here. But yeah, I think we're on the same page, 7 or 8.
Yeah, sure. But you enjoy a stay, and I'm sure we'll stay there again soon. So
I'm curious what Terra Luna. I mean, it's gonna be very similar, but just
yes,
check that out compared to this one.
Terra Luna opens March 25th, so we do have a stay booked there for March as well. So we'll be checking that out and making some comparisons to Stella Nova.
There will be comparisons, I'm sure.
There will be comparisons. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's it.
All right.
Is anything else you want to mention?
I don't think so. I think we said everything. Yeah.
Okay. I know it's a lot. New hotels are so exciting, and I just feel like, am I forgetting anything? Because there's a lot to
I mean, the good thing is there's not a ton. I mean, really, again, being in the level it's at, there's not a ton of extra things to, it's not a huge hotel either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's not really a lot more stuff to really discuss about it because it's just, kind of basic in its amenities.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for listening to our little review. We have more on YouTube. Jared, what's your YouTube channel that you have?
Well, it's at Cap the Magic, as our social medias everywhere. But over there, I do daily videos, theme parks, pop culture, and go just more like the business side or the trends of theme parks. We talk about like reviews and tips and things over here, and over there it's more or less just my take on kind of what's going on in the parks and different topics like that.
Thank you. Yes. And we also have some other shows on the network. We've got the Disney show that's on Thursdays, Jared and I. We have Trip Tales, and that's once a month. And that's my trip report show where I have a guest on that talks about their most recent Disney or Universal vacation. I just had one come out 2 weeks ago. I will have another one in the next couple weeks as well. So if you want to be a guest on Trip Tales, you can go to ctmtriptales.com and fill out the information. And if your trip is something I am interested in learning more about, I will email you, contact you, etc. So don't forget to follow us on social media. We're everywhere. Facebook, Twitter or X, TikTok, and Instagram. We're Cap the Magic everywhere. So follow us over there. And don't forget to check out Club 32.
Yeah, if you want even more content, want to contribute to the show, it's kind of like our own Patreon, cheaper than Club 33, if that's something that's way too expensive for you. Club 32 is a little bit cheaper on that end, just a tad bit. But in there, we have additional content. We have live streams every week on Tuesdays. We have Cool Kids Kitchen. We have the Clubhouse. There is 20% off of CTM apparel and 1901 Candle Company products. We did a live stream review, showing the room of Stella Nova as well. So do live streams on there, just from on location sometimes. We'll probably do that for Epic Universe as well. We also have a private Facebook group. We have a meetup, 2 meetups a year. We have another one coming up in about a week going on. So we're going to do some meetups and really just, be a part of a good group of people. It helps with trip planning. A lot of those people go to the parks all the time. So you can kind of use them as a brain trust, ask questions about and opinions and things like that. So if you want to check that out, you can go to ctmvip.com. We have monthly or yearly options. You can give you a free trial if you want to try that on the monthly side. And if you want to do a yearly, you also get a free T-shirt. So either way, you get something for free there. So we're going to join there. Again, ctmvip.com. And if you'd like to join, we'd love to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, our meetup is this weekend, and we're actually going to stop by Universal on the way home before we go home. And it's Mardi Gras. We're gonna party it up Mardi Gras style, and hopefully, I think we're reserved to do the float riding and throw the beads again. So that should be exciting. So if you follow us on social media over there, we'll be posting about that. If not, you should follow us because we're super cool people.
Yes, super cool.
Super cool people. But all right, well that's it. So thank you everybody for watching or listening, and thank you Jared for being here.
Thank you.
And as I always like to say, we will see you in the parks.
Bye.